are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports War. And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Report. I am your host, Brian Barnaby. And let's just say the boys are back in town.
She got away. Know what I say? She can't choke. She don't know what to do.
She's gotta go. Bye. I know that you love this flow. We just chillin', we just villains. We just chillin', we some villains.
I love it up. Get the ammo and I stick it up. I grab shots on the top of shots. I bust the clip and I let it dip. I make it poop, make it explode. Touch your toes, hit your nose. Can you touch your toes?
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port. I am your host, Brian Barnaby, and I'm about to tell you why Aaron Boone is the worst manager in New York Yankee history. But we'll get to that. Joining me, of course, our super producer, Magic Mike.
Hey-yo. Hello, world.
And joining us via FaceTime to agree with me is Gino.
I mean, that took real long, Barnes. We literally didn't even get 10 seconds into the show. I mean, it's deserved, but we didn't get
our first topic.
Yeah, no,
but I don't care. All right, and that's just a little warm up. But since it's the playoffs, we'll start in the world of the National Basketball Association.
LeBron James at the buzzer. He banks in the three, and the Lakers win the game.
I wish the Lakers were still playing. At least I could give me something in the world of sports, something. But anyway, so we'll start with yesterday. We did have a game 7. So we'll start with the game 1. The Hawks 128-124 in the surprise upset of the Sixers, and Trae Young, like he's been doing all postseason, 35 points, 10 assists. John Collins and Bogdanovich added 21, and they kept up their hot three-point shooting, 20 of 47 as a team from three, and they hang on despite being outscored 41-29 in the fourth quarter. That late charge by the Sixers just wasn't enough, and I have to honestly give it to Joel Embiid here. Playing on a torn meniscus goes for 39-9, but just not enough. I mean, this Hawks team, I don't think we give them enough credit. And, I'll start with you, Gino. Overall thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with this, at least, I mean, if you're a Knicks fan, right, you're kind of happy that they came out like this. If you're a Knicks fan, you probably didn't want them to get swept, right? Right, Mike?
Yeah, I'm so happy, Gino.
Yeah, he's cheesing.
I'm so glad the Knicks aren't playing.
But honestly, though, like if the Hawks come out here and get absolutely floored, I mean, the Knicks look worse than it was even. I mean, at least they put up a fight and obviously win this game. But I mean, Trae Young going out there, 35, 10 assists. That's, they really got contributions from all over. But the Sixers really fell apart early in this game and just couldn't get back into it. They created a 20-point deficit for themselves. So, that's always hard to do coming out into the second half. So, I mean, they just got to get a better start because, I mean, clearly they were the better team in the second half, kind of, dominated the Hawks, but they just let it get too far away in the first half.
And not to completely change gears here, but Tony, who is actually in AC right now, just wanted to chime in. So, all right, guys, basketball is boring. The Yankees are dead in the water. Barnes is tight. Mets split with Padres. Should have swept them, honestly, but Tony is still buzzing. DeGrom is the only living legend. Paul and Mayweather hug for an hour. Golf happened, closing remarks. So, I mean, Tony, listen, you got you wanted to split the series. You got the split, but then you're doubling down at the blackjack table. What are you doing? I don't get it, but hopefully
you're not making sense, bud.
Wins it back. But
that's our show, right? I mean, we're done now. Tony said everything. We don't need anything else. That's it for us.
Right.
Do you guys think Sixers take game 2?
No.
Yeah.
Really?
I think the Hawks sweep them, honestly.
Wow.
Because I think Joel, well, he was able to put up these numbers in game one. How's that knee feeling today? All right.
He's losing it all.
Oh, Tony, we talked about it, bud.
Yeah.
But honestly, in all seriousness, Mike, what were your thoughts here?
I mean, like you said, it was impressive what Joel Embiid did. It's just tough. It looks like Nate McMillan should have won Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, hard to argue that. What is it?
Jesus Christ.
Is it 31-11 or something?
Yeah, since they made the switch.
They have a better record than the Sixers since.
I think it's identical.
Or identical.
Well, now obviously one
With the
more,
one,
but yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just really impressive. And honestly, I kind of held back on this, and you guys, you're almost in the Giannis territory with it, but not quite. Just in terms of kind of like bagging on Trae Young, and I think honestly, I don't know how deserved that was. And now, didn't start the year well.
That's what I'm saying.
Really,
up until
really
now,
finished it.
Yeah,
really
he's killing
has
it.
Finished it here.
I saw a thing you guys you would like. It was it said the Doncic Trae Young trade was the most even trade ever. Right now, currently, don't think about the past, Barnes.
No, or the I mean,
Who's still in the playoffs?
No. This is what I would say. I would
All
say,
right.
for giving up, trading away your chance at a pretty much like a living legend / future Hall of Famer. I don't think it could have worked out any better. With starting that way in terms of giving up, you got a great player, but I mean, it's hard to say that Luka's not a better player. That's the only thing.
No, he definitely is, but it is a pretty even trade right now.
For blowing it to start, like you said.
Yeah.
The return
I think it's definitely an even trade. I mean, I've always thought Trae Young is a good basketball player. The attitude things a little bit, and just kind of his cockiness are always annoying. But and for me as being a Mavericks fan, it is just annoying having to hear about Trae Young every time Luka does something well, or hear about Luka every time Trae Young does something well.
Yeah.
They can coexist and be good players together, and Trae Young's shown that. I mean, Trae Young has been fantastic, and obviously, again, we'll get into this in probably a very short period of time. But Trae Young supporting cats kind of helps him. Considering John Collins was phenomenal yesterday, Bogdanovich was phenomenal, Hoyter added 15 points, Capella had 11, so he's also getting production from those players, but Trae Young has been phenomenal, and I think he's the first 6 games of his NBA playoff career, he's been, I think, even better than maybe some people expected him to be.
Yeah, and I think this is the Trae Young, we saw at Oklahoma, just being the best player on the court, every time he goes out there. So got to give it to the Hawks, and, we'll see if they're able to, follow this up. Game 2 tomorrow, 7:30 TNT. And we will go to this one, Gino. I know this one's tough. Clippers 126, Mavs 111. Clippers win game 7, 4-3. Let's start with you, Gino. I mean, what happened here? Obviously, it was the Luka show once again, but didn't have anyone there to have his back.
Jor Pippen.
It's always the Luka show. It is always the Luka show. Oh, Luka had 250 points in this series, and they didn't win the series. He had 250 points. He had one bad game, one game where he didn't get to 30 points. And I mean, there's no blame put on Luka. Luka did legitimately everything he could have done in this series. I mean, obviously game 4 maybe could have been a little bit better, obviously with the neck strain, but Luka did everything he could do, and he proved that he's the superstar that everybody thought he was going to be. The problem is Kristaps Porzingis is legitimately a waste of space out there right now. I mean, I think he had 20 points once. Every other game, he had 15 or less. I think he had single digits in 4 of the 7 games. He has to be the number 2. You're getting paid $31 million to be a good basketball player. And Kristaps Porzingis, in the times that we've needed him most, in the last 2 seasons against the Clippers, he's either been injured or ineffective. And I know that he's coming off the injury. I know that he's, he had his injury woes this season, but he averaged 19 points a game before the playoffs in the 3 games that he played before the playoffs. And I know the competition's different, but that's the point. Kristaps is not playing to the level of the competition. He was not good enough to be in this series. And that's why the Mavs lost. Tim Hardaway did probably more than you would have expected Tim Hardaway to do in this series. Maxi Kleba, I'll give him a pass. He didn't have a great series, but he's dealing with an ankle issue, an Achilles issue that many said they weren't sure he was going to be able to play on. The supporting cast wasn't great. Last night, the bench got outscored by 20-plus points, but it really falls on Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, he is the number 2 guy right now behind Luka. He's the guy that they brought in to be the guy with Luka. And in a series where they needed him to be effective in probably 2 games, he was not effective enough in any of the games. He didn't shoot the 3 well. He didn't do anything. Defensively, he's just an absolute, it's basically like playing with 4 defenders out there. And they took advantage of that. And the Mavericks already have problems getting rebounds to begin with. And you have a 7'3" guy out there. You have to play Boban Marjanovic for 90% of the game because Kristaps can't do anything. Can't rebound the ball. So it's like, the Mavs don't have a true center. They're right now running a 4-center rotation with Kristaps Porzingis, Willie Cauley-Stein, Dwight Powell, and Boban, which is, again, big men there. That's a problem that needs to be dealt with to begin with. But Kristaps, I'm done thinking, Chris, you're getting paid $31 million. He's just not even a number 2 anymore. You got to go out and get somebody that's going to be a number 2 because you cannot count on Kristaps Porzingis anymore. And he's the reason we lost the series. Luka dropped 46 last night. That's a tie for his career, I think. 46 in a game 7. What else could you want from him? And the
biggest problem is, you mentioned the $31 million. You really can't trade him this offseason either.
Exactly. So he's going to be a 3-man who's going to make $31 million. He's going to be a 3-man that makes $31 million.
Really have to get creative, with the rest of the roster, and it'll be interesting to see what they do. And I thought it was interesting. I just saw an article before the show that Mark Cuban has backed Coach Rick Carlisle to come back. And while I don't think that he's a bad coach, and coaching really had anything to do, with this series basically, but. If you look at his track record, you take out the championship. He's basically been Terry Stotts, and we saw what happened to Terry Stotts. So, do you agree with keeping him there, Gino?
Yeah, I have no problem with keeping Rick Carlisle. I think Rick Carlisle is a great coach, and I think that he got a lot out of this Mavs team and a lot out of the bench players that you would not like. If you look at everybody outside of Kristaps Porzingis, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Luka, right? There's not many players that you could point to and say that guy's going to score a lot of points or that guy's going to be a contributing factor. But Jalen Brunson, a guy who they drafted in the 2nd round, has become something pretty good. Dorian Finney-Smith has been pretty solid for them most of the time. They've gotten Maxi Kleba. They've gotten contributions from these players that I don't think on a lot of other teams you would get contributions from. I don't think that they would be solid players on a lot of other teams. So I don't have a problem with trading, with not letting go of Rick Carlisle. Again, it's, you pay a guy $31 million. He's got to score more than 7 points in 4 of the 7 playoff games that you play. It's really what it comes down to. And they lost. Let's look at the series, right? They lost by 15 yesterday, but there was games they lost by 7 in game 6. They lost by in game 3. They lost by 10. Certain contributions that KP could have made would have made this series completely different. And if you look at Rick Carlisle, this team could have folded after 2-2. They could have folded after the series went back to LA, and they blew their 2-0 lead, but they didn't. They won the game, and then of course they couldn't win the last 2. But again, I don't think it's anything that Rick Carlisle could have done to make this a different outcome.
But I do think, like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of roster construction this offseason. Yeah. And so, the team will be better. And even though it won't be his fault, if they go out in the first round again next year, though, I think there's no way you could bring him back, honestly. It's just too many times.
If you improve the roster and they get a solid, it doesn't have to be, they probably don't have the cap space to do something drastic and go get somebody that's a superstar. But if you can get a solid number 2 who can give you 20 a game, like John Collins has given Atlanta, or not 20 a game, but close to 20 a game, or give you that consistency, then I think that you're right. I think that next year, if they have a better roster and they don't make it past the first round, I mean, you got to figure, like, we're getting into the point where Luka's going to start getting into his prime. And if you can't make it past the first round with Luka in his prime, I mean, really, if you can't make it past the first round with Luka scoring 250 points, there's a problem. But as we've already discussed, it's a roster issue. But again, if they improve the roster and things still don't change, I would agree that Rick Carlisle's probably got to go.
And I don't, we could look deeper into this, but I was just looking. Hardaway Jr., he is, going to be a free agent. So, he was making 18.9. Is that like what they'll have in cap space, or are they over because of KP's extension?
No, I think they'll have that in cap space. I was looking at Spot Rack, I think, the other day. In terms of their cap space, they'll have cap space.
Okay.
But it's just, I don't think they keep Tim Hardaway Jr. Because you're paying him a lot of money for the inconsistencies that he has and the age that he, what is he now? He's not even on the roster right now for 21. Oh, yeah, he's 29. So, but still, I think you want a younger guy getting in there. Hopefully, get some contributions from some of the rookies that they didn't get contributions from this year. Josh Green drafted in the first round, didn't really make much of a contribution. So we'll see. Obviously, they don't have that first round pick this year, so that'll be obviously a loss.
I don't know if it's a 2K thing, but technically with Hardaway, I don't know if they have his bird rights, but if they do, can't they sign somebody for 18 and then re-sign him after?
It's possible. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly how that works, but it's possible. I can actually check right now if they have his bird rights.
Because that's kind of getting creative, and then because you couldn't spend it on anybody else.
Well, that's the thing. They're gonna have to get creative because, like you said, it's just and also, I mean, they're paying JJ Redick right now $13 million, so that's not going to be something they're paying for next year either for a guy who did not step on the court once for the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, he didn't even play. Wow.
So that was fun. Yeah. Love you, JJ. Yeah. Love you so much. Thank you for really contributing to the team.
Yeah.
Throw him a fucking parade.
We'll see what happens. And, so the Clippers, they do skate by here. And, I don't like him, but I have to give it to him. Kawhi did have a great series. He was the fourth player in postseason history to score 200 points and shoot 60% from the floor. And, he had that big 45-point performance in Game 6 and followed it up with almost a triple-double and almost 30 points last night. And I think really, though, I mean, what was huge for them is getting 23 points out of Morris, 7 and 9 from 3. So I don't think that's sustainable. And I think, the Jazz are going to come into this series, well-rested, and I think they're going to, give them a run for their money. I'm sure, the sentiment is, around the league that you would expect the Clippers, to win this series. But, I think this is going to be this could go 7 again. Yeah. Honestly, it really could.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that what we saw from the Jazz in the first series is much more encouraging than I think we expect, especially after the first game. We're like, oh, wow, this Jazz team is going to struggle. Obviously, they'll get Mitchell back, but they really kind of cruised after that. So, I think we have maybe a tiny bit more confidence in the Jazz than we did. But, I think Clippers, talent-wise, roster-wise, probably should win this series. But as we've talked about, the Jazz are a really good team. So we'll see how it goes.
So Game 1 tomorrow, 10 o'clock TNT. And looking ahead to tonight, we do get BUCS at Nets. Nets at 7:30 TNT. Nets with the 1-0 lead after winning Game 1 on Saturday. But minutes into that game, Harden injured his hamstring again. He's out tonight. They haven't really spoken in terms of, how much further he could be out, but we know these hamstring injuries are tough. So, I mean, conceivably he could miss, this whole series, a couple more games. So I'm sure they'll want to take it easy. And of course, I mean, if you were to go up 2-0 here, really, proceed cautiously, because obviously their eyes are set on contending for a title. And you look on the other side here, the BUCS, obviously have to be disappointed, not winning game one, but, obviously they have to realize they caught a break with Harden getting injured. So this is their shot here. And like, we always say about, the road team winning a game and a series starting. So, I mean, it's just funny how quick one game can make or break a series. But I mean, they win tonight. I mean, it's back to square one. They lose. I mean, they're really in a pretty deep hole.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Honestly, I think that Harden being out, I mean, I've said this, I feel like a bunch of times in the podcast, but Harden, I think, is their best or their most important player, maybe. So that obviously is a huge blow if he can't come back at any point in this series, again, because of the facilitator that he is. KD and Kyrie did a fantastic job in game one of kind of picking up the slack. And I think they got contributions from elsewhere too. Joe Harris, obviously played really well in game one as well. So they're going to need another one of those type of games. Just looking at the numbers, they got 19 from Joe Harris. They got 18 and 14 from Blake Griffin, which I'm not sure you can expect again in game two. That's a lot. Some guy named Mike James scored 12 points, which I'm not sure is real. He might be a fake person.
Yeah, don't mess with Mike James, man.
When I was thinking about Mike James
from back then.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, you got another contract. Like Houston, right? He was on Houston.
Yeah, Houston. Yeah, he drained threes. 2K7. Oh,
yeah.
Forget about it. What do you guys think? Any chance, in the next couple hours, we get like some breaking news that Kyrie, wants to sit out tonight just to reflect, or you think he'll be a go?
They're sweeping.
Oh my God! Please. But,
I mean, if the BUCS can't stop Blake Griffin from getting 18 and 14, then it might be a sweep. I mean, come on. When was the last time you got that type of contribution from him?
Well, we know series aren't won in game one. I mean, we thought that the Grizzlies Jazz series was over, and then the Grizzlies didn't compete the rest of the series, so we can't make assumptions based on that. And I didn't mean to cut you off, Mike. What were you going to say?
I honestly forgot now.
Oh, jeez. I think you were saying Giannis 50-point triple-double by 20 tonight. But I'm guessing you fellas are going with the Nets tonight?
Yeah. Oh, I saw a thing. I remember now. I saw a thing that said Blake Griffin's going to get steroid tested.
He should, honestly.
Why?
No, I'm kidding. He was just depressed in Detroit. We talked about
this. Obviously.
But, what's your thoughts here?
BUCS got to shoot three better.
I just wanted to be the Rock for a sec.
Sorry, I'm just looking at these stats. I mean, the BUCS had 72 points in paint. That is just mind-boggling. But we talked about it. We talked about it in the chat, though, right? Mid-range jump, anything outside the paint, the Jazz had a really tough time with. So that's obviously going to be a key factor. I think it'll be close. I'll go with the BUCS tonight.
What about the Jazz?
What about the Jazz?
No, I'm just kidding. You said Jazz.
You said Jazz by accident.
We're just having a good
time over here.
Yeah. Wait, so you said you got the BUCS tonight? Did I hear this correctly?
I think I'm going to go with the BUCS tonight.
Wow.
I don't know. The James Harden thing really throws me off because I just think he's so important to the team. And I'm not sure you're going to get 18 points from Blake Griffin tonight. And I also know for a fact the BUCS aren't going to shoot 20% from three tonight.
Please. Let me I'll take it from here. I mean, absolutely not. That's not happening. Plus, the BUCS, we've seen this all season. They're way too talented, too good to go down 2-0 here and get embarrassed. I don't know what Mike's saying, a sweep. I mean, if anything, it might be a gentleman's BUCS. So, yeah, I'm going to say BUCS by at least 10 here. 40-point triple-double for Giannis. And like he's been doing all season, he's going to tell the two of you to sit down.
Okay.
And the second game tonight, 10 o'clock TNT, Nuggets at Suns. So this series gets underway. And, I mean, a lot of questions here. You know, I think the biggest one, obviously, is with a little rest here, you know, what do we expect to see out of Chris Paul? And why not start with Mr. Chris Paul himself? I mean, what do you think, Gino?
Or Cliff, people call it.
Or Cliff.
Gino.
Or Cliff.
Cliff Paul is going to come out here tonight, and he's going to drop 50 in a State Farm commercial. No, but yeah, I honestly don't know. I have no clue. I can't tell you what I'm going to expect from the series because it all really depends on Chris Paul, in my opinion. I think that's a huge. I mean, I shouldn't say that because I did say, I guess, a few episodes ago that obviously the Jokic Ayton battle is going to be extremely important. I think that's probably the most important battle. But I think for the Suns to have, I think that the Suns can, if Chris Paul can somehow be relatively healthy for a majority of the series, then that would significantly help the Suns on the offensive side of the ball. But again, it's going to come down to whether you can stop Jokic. And it's just crazy. This Nuggets team looks so good, and we just often forget that Jamal Murray is not playing for them. So it's, you know, the team is kind of firing on all cylinders right now without one of their best players. And it'll be interesting to see what this team looks like next year after all this experience. But this year, it's going to come down to how well Jokic can play. And I can't trust that Chris Paul is going to be healthy. And I'm not going to give Ayton enough credit right now in the first game. So I'm going to go with the Nuggets take game 1 on the road.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I'm right with you. And I would feel completely different if Paul was healthy. Because, you know, the Suns have been a great team all season, but clearly he's not healthy. And clearly Jokic, you know, has just been on fire, and Ayton's just been very inconsistent. So, you know, you need, especially now, you know, I mean, the way the Lakers were playing versus what you're going to get out of the Nuggets, you know, with a guy at full strength like Jokic who should win, you know, the MVP. I think it's just going to be too much for them. And we've seen Rivers step up. We've seen Morris step up. Porter Jr., you know, has his stretches where he's unguardable. So I have to go with the Nuggets in this one. And I think it's going to be actually a decisive victory. Call it 15.
Wow. I'm going Booker, 40-point game winner to start off the series right.
All right. So
there you go.
We will
have it
with that one. And we're going to switch gears here. And this is a segment I've been thinking about. I mean, I guess since last night when they blew it in extras, but we'll get to it. And of course, we'll start in the world of Major League Baseball.
Giving chase is Judge, and he dives into the stand.
Rock begins the season with an overpowering strikeout of Ronald Acuna.
The wall is gone! 3-run home run! What's going on here? I love it. He drives one to the moon. High, deep, and very gone.
I mean, I don't even think the stadium deserves to have us today, but we are there. And you know, we'll start with this mess we have in the Bronx. And I mean, our caption says it all. They completely chunk it this weekend, embarrass themselves, get swept by their, you know, their biggest rival, of course, in the Boston Red Sox. And it's like, honestly, like thinking back to it, I think this series ended when Michael King gave up the 3-run homer in the first inning on Friday, honestly, because it just – every single time it's the same thing. You start in a deficit. There's no confidence that the offense is going to be able to come back. But like I've been saying, all the players, of course, besides Judge, you know, deserve to be put on notice. But it still starts with the top down. And I think it's so embarrassing, and it's so clear to me that there's no respect for Aaron Boone. I mean, he is a complete joke. I mean, it's not even funny. And I'm just so sick of it. And it was funny. Over the weekend, I called into actually Richard Neer on WFAN. You know, he's longtime host over there. So this was yesterday morning. And I call in and I'm saying, you know, about how pathetic and how moves need to be made. And he tried to tell me that they're doing everything they can. They tried with Gittins. They tried with Odor. And then he cut me off, so I couldn't even finish. But I mean, it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Like, oh, we tried a couple minor things, so that's it. No, that's just the start of it. But I just can't take it anymore. And I want Boone to resign and honestly teach a PR class at Fordham, because I think that's what he's more geared to do. He's not a manager. He's the worst manager we've ever had. Like, it's not even a question. And I'm just so sick of hearing it. I want him fired. I want Tim's fired. And I want Phil Nevin, who's a champ, who just came back from COVID. He still had an IV in his arm on the field, and he's getting ejected because of that ridiculous third strike call. We need some fire. We need some accountability. And it's like, do we need to get swept by Minnesota for something to be done? I mean, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's 11 a.m. on Monday, June the 7th, after the Yankees got swept by the Red Sox, lost 2 to the Rays and got swept by the Detroit Tigers, and Aaron Boone is still the Yankees manager, is ridiculous. You know, and these talking heads in the radio, they love, you know, Sweeney Murdy the other day was like, you know, this is really on the bottom of the lineup. It's not on the bottom of the lineup. The bottom of the lineup is in the bottom lineup because they're the bottom of the lineup. The people that need to be better are Giancarlo Stanton, Gleyber Torres, DJ LeMay, who went 0 for 5 again yesterday. Those are the guys that need to be better. You know, the Clint Frazier, yes. Should he be probably a little bit better? Yes. But he's been contributing probably what you would imagine. Miguel Andujar, the same, obviously had a little bit of a mishap in the outfield the other day. But again, he's playing his wrong position and filling a hole that they need. Chris Gittins is not a guy who you're going to look to and say he's going to be the savior of the New York Yankees. It's the Giancarlo Stantons, it's the Gleyber Torres, it's the DJ LeMayus, it's the Gio Urshela's, it's the guys who are getting paid a lot of money or getting the hype to go out there and be the guys that the New York Yankees expected them to be. And Aaron Boone has done an awful, awful job of trying to turn this around. The Yankees haven't scored over 5 runs since May 22nd. So that's what, you know, at least 2.5 weeks. They barely put 5 runs on the board in any of their other games. They're getting absolutely destroyed by division rivals. They got swept by the Blue Jays, they've lost, what's that? Swept by the Blue Jays, swept by the Red Sox. They've lost 8 of their last 10 against division rivals that are in a battle with them for the division and will be there in September. God willing that the Yankees are there in September. There needs to be changes. And there was a good, you know, starting with a couple other buddies the other day, and they made a good point. You know, the Yankees, Hal Steinbrenner does not want to spend any money. So Brian Cashman has to get creative. And if the Yankees want to be the Rays, Brian Cashman is not the guy to make the Yankees the Rays. Brian Cashman has, for his entire career, spent money, went out there, made deals. Well, maybe there needs to be a change in the general manager. There needs to be something done because this team is one of the most poorly constructive offensive teams that we have seen in a very, very long time. I mean, we're scoring the same amount of runs as the Pittsburgh Pirates, and our payroll is about $200 million more. So things need to be done. Changes need to be made. This team is an absolute disgrace, and it's, you know, it's hard to even think about it. I don't even want to watch them right now.
Yeah, and it's like I've been watching the Yankees over 20 years. I've never, and we've missed the playoffs, you know, since I've been watching them a couple times, but I've never felt this defeated on June 7th. June 7th. It's like completely insane. And the worst part about it is like you still could save yourself if you completely turn it around, and you need to send messages of accountability. And that's just the biggest part. And it's like, it's not even that they need to spend more money. It's just they need to like get some new guys in here. Even if you acquired one new hitter, one solid new hitter, it would completely change everything. And even if you fired Boone and you fired Timms, it would just be a sense of, whoa, like we're not going to be able to just come in here with our heads slumped over and completely embarrass ourselves, embarrass the fan base, and then wake up tomorrow and be batting cleanup.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's just, I mean, you got to get Boone. I think Boone's got to go. There needs to be changes made, man. There needs to be changes made. Accountability. You talk about Boone's out there saying, good teams hitting the double plays. The good teams hitting the double plays. It'll turn around for us. What? Good teams don't hit double plays. Good teams hit the freaking ball. Good teams put the ball in the gap. Good teams put the ball in a spot. Good teams don't hit the double plays. They hit the ball far so we could tag up. And he's out there. He's a glorified, like you said, Barnes, he's a glorified cheerleader right now. He has no idea what he's doing. He has no idea how to fix this team. And he's out there to go say, hey, this team will turn it around every single day.
No, and as Adam Shine would say when he says these ridiculous things, he would say, oh, good. Oh, good. Because that's what it is. You're a joke. You're a complete joke. And it's just completely insane. And I just hate the thought that Hal Steinbrenner is literally more concerned about the Breeders' Cup than he is about the World Series. And I'm just so tired of it. I absolutely cannot take it. And I just know, honestly, if they get swept in Minnesota, he's still not going to do anything. And that's like, what the heck? Like, where is the line drawn in the sand?
Well, Barnes, come on. I mean, the analytics are showing that at some point this season, the Yankees will turn it around. So we know it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Brian Cashman spent a gajillion dollars on the analytics system because it just tells, it predicts the future. Everything's going to be okay. The analytics department will work some numbers to crunch something up. We'll sign a guy for $2 million a year off of another team or trade for a 27-year-old minor leaguer. And he'll get up and he'll hit 250 and play good defense, and we're going to be okay. It's going to be fine. Hal Steinbrenner doesn't have to take his wallet out ever again. He can sit there watching the Breeders' Cup, spend his money at the track. Everything's going to be fine, Barnes. This is great. We're fine. It's great. That's exactly what's going through the Yankees' mind right now. I promise you. They don't have an idea of what to do right now.
And it's completely pathetic because it's not like you need to literally just cut everybody and like start from square one. It's just like the dead weight's got to go. And that's just the most disheartening thing about it. And we mentioned his name the other day. Like, trade for Carlos Santana. Just do it. Get a left-handed bat in there. And it's like, even just that, I honestly think even just acquiring him would make a huge difference, and bringing up Florial and giving him a shot. He's been a top prospect for a reason. I mean, and then I love it last night, and even if this is the front office, more shame on them. I know like Gittins just came up, but in a clutch spot, you're going to put up Odor. And I know like the ball was way outside. He should have walked, but like, why even give him the bat there? I mean, I thought that was insane. Like that's like pinch hitting Gardner for Judge, honestly.
I mean, it's hard to defend it because Chris Gittins was 0 for 9 in his first 2 games as a New York Yankee. But I understand what you're saying. But that's the thing though, right? We have guys in the lineup that should be guys that are contributing off the bench as pitch hitters, right? Like there's no, like the Yankees don't have another option right now to put in for Chris Gittins when they, like, what are you going to put in Brett Gardner? What are you going to put in? You're going to put in Odor? You're going to put in Tyler Wade? Like, none of these guys, like, again, I agree with you. The fact that Esteban Florial has gotten 1 game in the major leagues and got sent down right away is ridiculous when you have the outfield situation that you have right now and you're playing guys out of position. I mean, Aaron Judge is playing center field. That's just with what we've heard about his injury woes for the entirety of his career and how he needs to rest because his hamstring was like, he walked wrong for like 1 step, and now, we want to rest him for a couple days. Now he's playing center field, which is one of the most active positions, on the baseball field, and you have to cover the most ground. I mean, And props to Judge for stepping up and saying he can do that, but that's not a position he should be put in. You have a center fielder in the minor league system who's considered one of the best prospects in the Yankees minor league system and one of the most hyped up and coming prospects in the minor league system in general. And he's gotten one game. I don't understand it. The Yankees are not doing all they can because they could be bringing up Estevan Florial. Trades have to be made. And you know what's going to happen, though? They're not going to make any changes because the entire Major League Baseball has this idea that they can't trade anyone before the Rule 5 draft because they have to give up or before the MLB draft because they have to give up conditional picks and all that. And it's like, I mean, just make a move. Make a move. It's really not that hard.
It really isn't. And it's like you really make a good point with the bench. And it's just like, I mean, you have to have some type of contact guy. And it's like, I don't know. The thing that I hate to think about is that, so if we did literally, get rid of Odor, get rid of Gardner, call up Florial and trade for Santana, I really think from this point to the end of the regular season, we could move up in runs per game 10 spots at least, because it's like those guys just constantly get out and like, listen, overall, of course, Glaber's been disappointing this season, and the same speaks for Gary Sanchez, even worse. But at least with them, I have seen it recently. Like, there are signs of life, which is good, but there are signs of life from no one else, really. I mean, it's just not even a question, So it's just like, I just know especially imagine if they got Story too, if they actually just went out and did it. It would be just a completely different feel and fire the manager and just show that, like, you can't, get your ass handed to you and then, like, we're just going to be okay with it.
Yeah. Well, again, it's like it's 11 o'clock on Monday morning and Aaron Boone is still your manager. And that says everything you need to know about what the Yankees front office thinks right now. They don't care. They legitimately do not care. We're not talking about the Yankees of the 1990s. We're not talking about the Yankees of the early 2000s. We're talking about the Yankees of the 2010s and the 2020s. And they don't care. They literally do not care.
So, I mean, basically at this point, we're hoping for a Christmas miracle that either, I don't know what's more likely, that they turn it around with this group or that they actually do something and hold someone accountable in the organization. So, I mean, I guess it's good you have an off day today. I mean, it's a travel day. I mean, you're going to Minnesota. You're playing a team that's 11 games under 500. So, this is like, you would say this is even an opportunity to sweep the Twins. But the problem is I feel like they can score more than us, even though their pitching hasn't been good. And like tomorrow, Jordan Montgomery versus Michael Pineda. I mean, we know all about Michael Pineda, but like, should we score 6 in 4 innings off of him? We should, but is he more likely to throw 6 and strike out 10?
Probably.
Yes. So, I mean, we've done well, versus Minnesota overall, look at 10, 20 years stretch. So, I mean, you look at who they're throwing out. Like I said, Pineda tomorrow. On Wednesday, we have Cole back on the hill, who's due to bounce back versus Dobnak. And then we haven't announced a starter for the third game. I don't know if they're thinking possibly Garcia / Tyone / King versus J.A. Happ. And it's like another guy we saw firsthand, like we should light up. And I'm just concerned that both Happ and Pineda, I could see them honestly having success against us, which is really, really embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. So, Cole, I mean, let's not sugarcoat this. Cole has not been as good as he's needed to be and has not been the stopper that he needs to be in this stretch here. He's not been great either. So he definitely needs to improve, and he deserves some of, obviously Cole's a guy who pitches every 5 days. He can't change everything, but when he comes on the mound, he should be the guy that goes out there and throws a gem. And the last couple games he hasn't been. So hopefully he can turn that around. And then the other thing, I mean, just back to Boone. I mean, you type Aaron Boone in on Twitter, and these are the top things that show up. Aaron Boone not getting ejected last night further shows he should not be the manager of the New York Yankees moving forward. Aaron Boone, if he didn't hit the home run in 2003, and it's just a guy making burgers in McDonald's. The entire Yankees coaching staff is getting ejected one by one because Aaron Boone won't. I will literally pay Aaron Boone to care this much about winning, and it's a picture of it's a video of the Diamondbacks manager. I mean, that says everything you need to know about Aaron Boone and what he's done over the last few weeks. He does not care because he probably has assurance that he's not going anywhere, because I guarantee you, again, if he was going somewhere, he would have been gone today, I think. So I guess we're going to live with them in Minnesota, and hopefully they don't blow it then.
Yeah, and I'm just hoping, Jordan Montgomery, I guess starts turning this around. I mean, I expect them to turn it around, I guess, but it's just hard to, be confident in that, but based on what we've seen. So, I mean, it's a long season. The only good part, and I mentioned this earlier, is that we still could literally win the World Series this year. Obviously, as the days go on, that gets less and less likely based on seeing the same failures over and over again. So that's why I, just hoping that something's done. But, I guess we'll have to reflect on it on this day off and see what happens in Minnesota, over the course of this week. So switching gears here, and Tony, unfortunately isn't here to join us as he's currently on the roulette table.
We can make this one quick.
So we will make it quick. Mets 6, Padres 2. Stroman pitches well. They get homers from Smith and McCann. McKinney, 2 for 5. I've talked about him. And then overall, I mean, a team like the Padres, a 4-game series on the road, I think, with a Mets team that's banged up, to split that, I think you have to feel good about that. And, you get a well-deserved day off today, and then you go to Baltimore for another vacation. So, I think being a Mets fan, I'm sure you probably feel pretty good. And I think, like I said, I think it's impressive to split with San Diego with a depleted roster.
I mean, after what we're seeing, I mean, again, it's, you wish
runs in a game.
Yeah, right. I know. Like you wish again. And it's, what? It's hard to make the excuses that we make with the lack of options that we have when the Mets are doing what they're doing across town with the lack of options that they have. They have significantly more injuries than we do. Their star is still batting .218, and they're still winning games against good competition. They're still in first place. So, I mean, you got to give all the props to the Mets, man. As Yankee fans, I think for the I think a lot of us tend to hate on the Mets, but right now, I mean, you got to love what the Mets are doing just from a pure standpoint that we're basically in the same position with injuries. Mets a little bit worse, and the Mets are still winning games consistently, and the Yankees can't find their bats. So, they're trotting out freaking, Billy McKinney,
Mason Williams.
Mason Williams. I mean, they're trotting out guys that, they got Pete Alonso back, Dominic Smith, James McCann, what's his face? Jeff McNeil's still not in the lineup. Jose Peraza is playing second. Yeah, Conforto's not in the lineup. Brandon Drury, who we are all too familiar with, is playing third base for them. So they're getting it done with players that, are equivalent to what the Yankees should be able to bring up or do something. It's, again, got to give all the props to the Mets. They went into San Diego. They got a split. They're still in first place, 6 games above 500. Can't really say much else.
No. And like I said, they'll have that 2-game set in Baltimore tomorrow. I think the 2 biggest questions of this series, because tomorrow is David Peterson on the hill. Will he finally recover? He's really struggled of recent. And then game 2, Harvey against the Mets. Harvey against the Mets again. He hasn't pitched well, actually, ironically, since he, pitched against the Yankees. So just be interested to see, can he bounce back or is it over? And I would lean on it being over because we've seen this for about 6 years from Harvey. But I guess we'll have to figure it out. And then before we switch gears here from baseball, how about how on a nice Monday, June summer day, there's 3 total games in the major leagues. So I just curious your thoughts here, Gino. Who's better at their job, Aaron Boone, Hal Steinbrenner, or Rob Manfred?
They're all so great; they'll never get fired. I mean, how do you even
pick the loser? The biggest loser, I guess.
I honestly think that Hal Steinbrenner would probably be the least of them. I think he would probably be doing the best job out of the 3. So not saying a lot.
Yeah. Well, no, he's good at training horses, like I said. So
yeah, exactly.
So we shall see. And Yankees get it together. Okay. So just wanted to put that in there. Like I said, we will switch gears. Couple, potpourri, I guess you could say, of sports topics here. We'll start in golf. So crazy story here. So John Rahm, finishes his 3rd round Saturday, 6 strokes clear of second place. And then they tell him that he's tested positive for COVID and is forced to withdraw from this tournament, which has a purse of, I believe, $1.7 million. So they show him live getting the news. I mean, you could tell how upset he was. And I just think complete failure by the PGA here. And I don't want to hear rules are rules, protocol, this, that. It's just like, it's golf. He could play around by himself, and he's not hurting anybody. So I think that's a complete joke. And I actually called into Lance Meadow on yesterday.
You're really active on the radio stations, huh?
Yes, I was. Mad Dog Radio, Channel 82. He does his weekend spot. And I bring this to his attention. And I'm just like, what I just said about how can he not play by himself? And he just goes on this thing. Oh, it's his fault. He didn't get the vaccine sooner. And rules are rules. No, it's a complete joke. And, Patrick Cantley actually defeats Colin Morikawa in a 1-hole playoff. But it's like, that's a hollow win. I mean, you're down 6 strokes and then you win a tournament because some guy has to withdraw. What a joke. What a joke. Honestly, I think, why don't we have Aaron Boone be the commissioner of golf, honestly, because I think he can make a better decision than that. Changes are made to policies all the time. So that was a complete joke. And hopefully nothing like this happens when we have the U.S. Open in a couple weeks. So that is just my take there. But of course, give it to Patrick Cantley. Given the circumstances, he's just out there playing. And of the people that were left, he did the best. He wins in a playoff against a guy, Colin Morikawa, who I thought would win this tournament and, comes up 1 short. And then in the world of boxing, to my dismay, we did have this Paul and Mayweather fight, over the weekend. Of course, I mean, they said there would be no winner. Of course, it went the distance. And I love after the match, Floyd. Oh, he's playing to it perfectly. Oh, he's a lot better than I thought he would. And there's a very small chance I would ever do an exhibition match again. You're gonna do 10 exhibition matches because you just love stealing money from the public. It's a complete joke. I don't want to see fake fights. Give me Tyson Holyfield. Give me a fight like that. I don't want to see these celebrities taking their boxers and a guy like Floyd Mayweather doctoring fights. It's a complete joke, and I feel bad for anybody who invested money in this fight.
Yeah.
I mean,
I couldn't have said it better than myself, Barnes. You nailed it, bud.
Fraudulent. And we'll switch gears to a little more mellow segment, and I know Gino has a couple things he would like to add.
We do. It's so beautiful. I found happiness last night at about 12:45 in the morning when the U.S. men's national team completed their CONCACAF Nations League final. They defeat Mexico 3-2, which is huge because this team, obviously the U.S. men's national team coming off of the Miss World Cup, they didn't make the Olympics. This was a very big spot for them. This was their first real competitive match as this generation, and their real competitive final. I mean, they were phenomenal. It was one of the best games I've watched in a really long time. I mean, I was literally, close to tears watching them win this game. And, just a crazy all-around game. A couple New York natives, Gio Reyna scoring the first goal there, and then Weston McKinney of Texas getting the second goal. They just showed resilience. It was something that we haven't seen from this United States men's national team in a very, very long time. And I was just, it was amazing. There was, it's always good to beat Mexico. It's always good to beat Mexico. It's like, for people who don't understand, it's like when the Yankees play the Red Sox. It's that times 10 when we play Mexico in the United States men's national soccer. It was unbelievable atmosphere. I will say, though, we've been talking a lot about fans, right? And how fans have kind of been, attacking players with certain things, the spit on Trae Young, the popcorn on Russell Westbrook. That didn't even come close to what we saw last night from the Mexican fans. Just really an absolute disgrace from them, throwing bottles, throwing cups, throwing hard objects on the field at the U.S. men's national team when they scored and when they took free kicks. Really just an absolute disgrace from them. They also have some some discriminatory slurs that they use in their chants that stopped the game yesterday. I mean, everything yesterday was it was just the craziest game of soccer you've ever seen. And it just felt so good to beat Mexico 3-2. It's a new era of U.S. soccer. So very big moment for them. And just, again, I get chills thinking about it. I was literally, 12:45, I probably could have woken up the entire apartment complex. So it was awesome. And then if we want to just switch gears now to Formula One, another crazy event that happened yesterday. It was in Azerbaijan, the Baku race. Just really crazy. The first 30 laps were pretty simple. It was, an easygoing thing. Then Lance Stroll of Aston Martin blows a left rear tire. No debris, just crashes at 200 miles an hour into a wall. Obviously, thankfully, he's okay. And then things continue to go on. Nobody was really involved. They yellow flagged the race. And then moving forward, they go through the next about 15 laps. And then Max Verstappen, who's currently leading the Drivers' Championship above Lewis Hamilton, he also blows the left rear tire. Problems with the tire. Pirelli had distributed is seemingly what happened. He crashes into the wall. They red flag the race, which gives Lewis Hamilton a chance to take points while Red Bull wasn't scoring many. But Lewis Hamilton on the restart drives off the track, falls in the last place. Checo Perez wins. So really just a crazy race all around. Unbelievable stuff. But
I feel like you explained it so well. I just saw it in front of me.
Outside of the Yankees and the
available on ESPN the Ocho or no?
What, Formula One?
Yeah, no, the replay of the race. I'm saying it should be on the Ocho. No,
it's actually they air it on ESPN 2 every time it airs. So it's actually got a time slot because it airs in the morning. It's like soccer, so it airs.
It actually has a time slot.
Yeah,
but didn't mean to cut you off about your Yankee point. But God,
no, but yes, as opposed to the Yankees and the Mavs, I did get some good fun yesterday. The Canadians won; they go through up in their series. U.S. men's national team. So altogether was, I guess, a decent day, but obviously would have liked a couple more wins on the slate.
Yeah, and besides that, Boone, obviously needs to be fired. Should have been fired years ago. Fire that ump. Honestly, didn't matter. Didn't matter. Should have won the game. You can't make that call, though. Honestly, like that was a moment where I felt like I wish Angel Hernandez was behind the plate because even he wouldn't have called that a strike. So just a little thought there, Rob Manfred. Okay, so you might want to can him, but Boone, you're a joke. You're a disgrace to the Yankee organization. And do us all a favor and resign.
I love it.
And on that note, I want everybody to enjoy their night. Keep commenting, keep liking, keep subscribing. We'll see you tomorrow.
Peace.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.